Welcome to Digital Politics Radio with your host, Karen Jagoda.
This is Karen Jagoda, and I'm president of eVoter Institute. I want to welcome you today to the digitalpoliticsradio.com show. And the theme of the show this week is the social media stream. We're hearing so much about what's going on in the social media world. I have two terrific experts on the show today, getting a bit more into the details of what's really going on in that stream. So my first guest is John Manoogian. He is the co-founder of a company called 140 Proof, which is a social stream ad platform, as well as other interesting dimensions. So welcome, John.
Hi, thanks very much for having me.
I appreciate you taking some time this morning, or this afternoon, I guess it is now. I'm down here in Southern California, where it's also a nice day. And I wanted to start by asking you about how 140 Proof is taking the pulse of the social stream. We hear so much about what's going on out there, and there's so much real-time information, and there's filtering of one sort or another. But you all have taken on the major challenge of really trying to figure out what's going on there. So can you say just a little bit as way of introduction about how you are taking the pulse?
Sure, I'd love to. So, as you know, social is incredibly popular. People are spending about 10 hours a week in social apps, and Twitter sends about 1 billion tweets every 3 days. So there's a huge amount of activity and there's a huge amount of discussion and conversation going on in social platforms like Twitter. The problem, as you kind of alluded to, is how to make sense of it, how to make it relevant. And so what 140 Proof does is we use public data called the interest graph, which is effectively the type of people that you're following on Twitter or the public keywords that show up in your tweets. We use that interest graph data to group together people into what are called personas. And advertisers then can use 140 Proof's advertising platform and social apps to reach those personas with a targeted 140-character message.
Hence the name of the company. And are these personas related to, recognizable by the traditional advertisers? Do they say, okay, those are the kinds of people we traditionally get with TV ads or coupons or what have you, and so now we see where they are online? Or are you digging up some new kinds of targeting or descriptions or groupings, personas, as you call them?
The most common thing that we hear from customers is, how can we use digital and social to get more specific? So in comparison to the TV world, where it's really very difficult to understand exactly who's watching at any given time, in the social world, it can get very specific. And so we have a core list of about 50 personas, and they range everywhere from something like a busy mom to a tech influencer teenager, to somebody who's leaning a certain way politically, or even who has certain kind of interest on a certain type of music or film or sports. So there's a long list of about, like I said, 50 core personas. And then what many of our customers do is, as they evolve their social campaigns over time, they'll kind of refine their persona to reach exactly the kind of people that they're interested in. Maybe it's something like, our competitors are driving a lot of discussion on social, and we want to sort of start to ride the trend of what people are saying about the competition and join that conversation. And they would use persona targeting to look for those keywords and then be able to have their message be seen by those same people.
Well, that is laser-like marketing. I love that technique. And are you finding that people are coming to you with the sense that they've already tried display online advertising, that they may have advertised on their local newspaper sites or Yahoo or some big sites and learned a little bit, so now they're bringing some of that knowledge to the social media world? Or are you getting people for the first time using online ads to reach very targeted audiences?
It's a good question. I think that when I look at the typical brand customer, we generally work with larger campaigns rather than small businesses. They tend to have some level of advertising experience already, but generally they're not bringing their existing skills or keywords or tools to social. Rather, they're often coming up with new skills. A big part of the way I think social is changing things is it gives people opportunities that they don't have in the display world, like you mentioned. A simple example would be when you receive a social ad that appears at the top of, say, your Twitter feed. If you like that ad, if you say, that's actually relevant to me, that's a funny message or something like that, you know what to do in a social context. You would hit share. And then all your friends or all your followers would then see that ad. Now, not only is that not possible in a display ad context, whether it's a digital ad like a banner or a print ad, but people wouldn't do that on a banner ad even if they could. It's not as interesting. It's not as relevant. When the ad is actually appearing, that message is appearing in the social stream, users are already looking to discover things, and they're looking to share them with like-minded people to kind of increase their own social capital.
And are the ads, for the most part, text ads or simple graphic ads? Are you seeing video ads in that environment yet? I can't say that I have, but that doesn't mean anything. Are they more on the simple side?
You know, we have always had a very strong belief that simple is the way that you scale. And so when 140 Proof originally launched, we took our cue from what we see as the social stream, platforms like Twitter and Facebook, and we said the ad should fit natively into that context, meaning the ad should be 140 characters of text. Over time, as more and more advertisers said, I have either a longer message or I have this, I have a video story. Video is such a great storytelling medium. I need to display this. And so now there's also a click-to-play video option, which I believe 140 Proof is the only source for. I don't think that's available on the Twitter.com website yet. But in other words, it's the same kind of targeting based on your interest graph. But when a user clicks that, they'll be able to expand either on their mobile device or on their desktop or the web browser, watch that video, and then close it when they're done.
Okay, well that's again taking that ad unit and adapting it to this social media environment, right? There's all kinds of ways these things have to be cut and pasted to make them fit in certain ways. So that's coming. If people are interested in that, they can talk to you about that. If they really want to continue to think video as opposed to simple text. And I'm wondering, from your point of view, about the multiplier effect. Is it the fact that you can do display ads and search and social media, make it all sort of, is it 1 + 1 + 1 = 10? Are you able to sort of point to some of the multiplier impact for some of your clients that are spending enough money with you?
Yes. I mean, I think a clear example of that is something we call the continuity strategy. So there is obviously a tremendous amount of money still being spent on television advertising, especially in the political realm, as in everywhere else. And so a continuity strategy is what we call it when an advertiser says, I'm already going to buy TV airtime on this show. I know that my target demographic is watching this television show, and now I want to bring that campaign to say, Twitter. What do I do? And so the simple version of that is they would say, okay, what are the Twitter accounts for the stars on that show? What is the Twitter account maybe for the television show itself? Because almost every show now has an official Twitter account. Are there fan clubs that are going on Facebook or Twitter where fans are discussing this show? And the power of that strategy is, we all know this when we're watching television and the commercial goes on, we don't necessarily sit there in rapt attention and watch the commercial. Instead, most of us, over 40%, look to our smartphone or we look to our tablet and we say, hey, what's going on with my friends? What's going on outside in the world until my show comes back on in, say, 5 minutes? And that's what that continuity strategy lets a brand do. They can reach those same fans of the TV show, but as opposed to when a lot of young people especially are tuning out of commercials, whether because they're TiVoing or they're just not watching them, brand is able to reach them. And so I think to the question about what we call earned reach, that multiplier bonus of people sharing ads, it varies very much depending on the campaign. But I mean, it could be anywhere from 1 to 10% of an additional sort of bonus effect or multiplier effect that the client isn't even originally paying for. They're saying, I want to reach 1,000 people to keep it simple, but 10 of those people retweet it and they each have 1,000 friends. Now I'm reaching this huge additional multiplier of people that I didn't even know I was going to get. And not only is it more people, but I think because the message has the fact that it was sent from a friend or somebody you follow or attached to it, it becomes a little more genuine rather than something from, say, an advertiser that you don't follow.
Well, you just said a lot of really important points, and we're going to stick with you here in the next segment and continue to talk about how you can tap into this multiplier effect from the trusted source, because that's also part of what the social stream is all about. It's following folks and paying attention to things that you care about, not just stuff that's being thrown in your face by an advertiser. So my guest today is John Manoogian. He's the co-founder of 140 Proof. 140proof.com, and he'll be staying with me in the next segment. I'm Karen Jagoda, president of eVoter Institute, and you're listening to digitalpoliticsradio.com. And the subject today is the social media stream, which we'll be talking about again in the next segment and throughout the rest of the show today. Follow us on Twitter at eVoter Institute, and we'll be right back.